Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new malicious compliance content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
First one is titled, "Sorry Boss, I can't come back in, I've been drinking." A few years ago my wife was working as an EMS worker in our local township. She got home from work one night after a long day and posted a picture of herself holding an unopened beer and saying, "I needed this." In the picture you could tell the beer was still closed. A few minutes after she posted her picture, a major storm decided to suddenly roll through. My wife, being the good employee she was, called her supervisor and asked if he needed any help. He said, "No, you can't come in, you posted a picture of yourself drinking alcohol." She objected that the can wasn't opened and every idiot could see that, but he wouldn't relent. He said something about how it could be construed wrong. Fast forward a couple of weeks, it had been a stupidly busy day for her, and when she finally got home, she ran over to the shelf that we had a bottle of whiskey on, literally tossed me her phone and said, "Quick, take a picture of me, drinking this." The cap was obviously still on the bottle, but she tipped it up like she was drinking it and she posted it online as soon as I gave the phone back. Her boss called her 10 minutes later and said, "We need you to come back in, we are short-staffed tonight." She said, "Sorry boss, I can't, I've been drinking. Check online." He tried to object that the cap was on and she said, "Last time I posted a picture like this, you wouldn't let me come in because it would set the wrong precedent. I wouldn't want to do that to you this time." Next one is titled, "Is the water still too cold?" I used to be a server at a locally owned stir-fry restaurant. It was an okay place to work, everything was really relaxed, like I saw the back and wouldn't eat there myself sort of relaxed. It was also really shady, we used to joke it was ran by the Chinese mafia for various reasons. I also worked with a few lifers. Now if you have served you know these women, and for those of you that haven't, a lifer is someone who has been a server their entire life. Usually they have even been serving at the same place for decades. Some are nice and great to work with, but most of the time, they are really horrible, crabby, just unhappy people. They have their way of doing things and want everyone to do it exactly the same. If they do not like you, they will make your life hell. And if you stick it out, they will usually try to manipulate the managers into firing you. Usually the managers know what's going on and just put you on different shifts, but anyway. I had one woman at this place that was always on my case about every little detail. I got along amazingly well with the rest of the staff and they usually stood up for me when she tried her BS. But one day it was just me, her and one other server, who was new. My shift was ending so I did my side work, including changing the water buckets that held the rags we used to wipe tables, and then sat to roll silver. When I hear it, yeah, I know too, the water in the serving station is cold. I know it wasn't since I had just changed it out. But I get up and change it again, not wanting to argue. It's still cold, change it right. So I get up, go over, make sure the water from the tap is nice and hot, fill the bucket and go back to my rolling. Yeah, I know too, the water is still cold, change it right or I will have manager write you up. Cue malicious compliance. The water that we brew coffee in gets well over 200 degrees, but she wants the water hot. So I go up and fill the bucket directly out of the big industrial coffee brewer. I set it down and go back to my rolling, after giving warning to the new girl, to give the water time to cool. About 2 minutes later I hear a scream. Miss Lifer had plunged her whole hand into the water. Now she didn't get super burned, but she got one hell of a scalding and her hand was a lovely shade of pink. Even the manager, who knew what was going on, told her, "Well, you said it wasn't hot enough." She brought her boyfriend in the next few days to eyeball me and play this stupid intimidation game that ended up with him getting physically threatening with me and her getting fired. The last thing the owners needed to have around was the cops after all. The best part is I had gotten a job at a retail place not long after as a manager. Guess who was still looking for work and dropped off her application? The look on her face when I came out of my office to personally accept it, priceless. Next one is titled, "If you want to micromanage me, you've just doubled my vacation budget." I took a new job within my company during the pandemic that was 100% work from home, which I was pumped about despite a 20% pay cut. I got an awesome new boss. I'm now a manager myself. I have a healthier working environment. It is a day shift only job, and I didn't have to make my 100-mile round trip commute every working day in a car that gets shit gas mileage. All that plus I get to work the office shifts. Office personnel only work Monday through Thursday, but 10 hours per day, so we get 3-day weekends every week. It's been that way since before I was hired. All around win despite less money. The pandemic was awesome for my working life. All good things must come to an end though. People were getting vaccinated in addition to new cases in my area started to fall. I can do my job 100% remote 100% of the time, but being on site makes 25% of it easier. My department started coming to work for the 25% of our job that really should be done on site. I have no qualms with that and am happy to be back on site for that, since it makes my life easier. That was status quo for a few months. The pandemic has changed many companies permanently in one way or another for better or worse depending on the company. My company elected to set guidelines for working from home, or remotely, as an option for 50% of the time going forward. This will be the new standard as our company has grown culturally and modernized during the pandemic. My department director said these company standards were on a case-by-case basis, but the director was going to enforce the new 50% maximum remote work standard for everyone unless there are extreme circumstances. It was completely arbitrary decision and I am convinced was made only to micromanage employees and empower old traditional style managers, especially since my department can do 75% of our work from home extremely efficiently and effectively. My malicious compliance comes in with my vacation hours and realizing how I can double my destination vacations. Soon after the new work from home rules were announced and it was communicated that they would be stringently enforced on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I canceled all my vacation on Mondays and Thursdays and rescheduled all those canceled days on Tuesdays and Wednesdays following or preceding my already scheduled vacations. I get nearly 5 weeks of vacation per year plus comp time for anything worked over 40 hours. My new supervisor, who is an awesome supervisor, approved all the changes I made the same day. I took off every day I was required to be on site and plan on working remotely on Mondays and Thursdays while extending all 4 of my week-long destination vacations already scheduled by 1 week each. I'm vaccinated and am more of a hiker and loner that avoids crowds before people start calling me out for starting to travel this year. I now have 10 weeks of vacation, combined with holidays and comp days, scheduled away from home in 2021 since earlier this year was so busy and I haven't taken much yet. I still have to work on Mondays and Thursdays, but it is a lot more fun to work from the beach or mountains or jungle or desert or while visiting family for 4 out of 16 days than only be in a given place for 8 days. Travel on Friday since I already get those off, plus an extra Friday I don't have to take vacation for plus an extra weekend. Working Mondays and Thursdays also helps me keep up and avoid falling behind, which lets me avoid anxiety on vacation that comes with not working and staying on top of stuff. Yes, I know I'm broken for not being able to enjoy time off. Next one is titled, "Fine Babe, I will use my backup camera." I admit that this happened some years ago. But my wife finally admitted it. So here I am. I'm military and came on to orders to move from New York to Colorado. And right before our move, we traded in my old Pathfinder for a brand new Nissan Altima. And the wife convinced me to spend an extra $6,000 for the nav, touchscreen and camera. We had a blast on our road trip. But tragedy struck on the last day, when we were in Kansas. After stopping in Topeka, the next morning we walk out and load up the car. I was parked at the end of a row, and there was a car to my left, perpendicular to me. If you can picture that. But I start the car, throw it into reverse, check my mirrors, and I hear, "We paid $6,000 for this nav and screen, and you don't even use it." Fine. So I turn my attention to the screen and I don't look away. I reverse and turn. The camera is supposed to beep for both motion and proximity. But nothing happened. I creamed a Mercedes that was in the perpendicular spot to my left. I mean creamed it. I had a small scratch. This dude had like no bumper left. I check my mirror, instinctively at this point, and guess what was there? The ducking car. I would have seen it if I'd been using the mirrors from the start, but no. So I swallowed my pride, and went into the hotel lobby where I found the dude. He was actually the manager. And I tore the bumper off of his dad's car, that he wasn't supposed to have. And I know this because about 15 minutes later, the dad shows up to chew his son's ass out. But, we finally exchanged information and USAA totally handled everything for me and we made it to CO in almost one piece. So prior to this day, she denied ever telling me that. But we were in a friendly conversation today and something came up about her friend doing almost the exact same thing, and I brought it up again. She laughed and said, "Yeah, I remember that, my bad. Girls, let the man use his mirrors." And guys, I did it, I finally did it. I ducking 1-1, this was for all of you. Thanks for sharing this with me. Look, I know it's my fault for driving, but her comment came at me in such a judgmental way, that my only response was to watch the camera to the most extreme. So take that as you will. Next one is titled, Hate to be late? Expect your kids to use it against you. My father hates being late. He will not go into a movie if the previews have started. He was never late to work without some catastrophe happening. As kids, my brother and I hated going to Mass. It was boring. We got yelled at for fidgeting. We were in Catholic school, so we already had to go to Mass once a week. Why did we have to go a second time? My brother and I fought often as children. We were united in our distaste for Mass. Our parents split the weekends. They were not divorced. Mom got up with us on Saturday mornings and Dad was in charge of Sunday mornings. My father is not a morning person. Not even a little bit. He was in charge of making us get ready for Mass. The only time my parents could almost guarantee we wouldn't be fighting was Sunday morning. If we had to fight over something, we would sneak outside and do it in the far back of the yard so Dad wouldn't wake up. Dad was always ranting to us about the evils of being late to things. So we learned to be very quiet on Sunday morning until 11:15. We let Dad sleep until at least then. Because being late is so horrible, we ended up not going to Mass even half the time. Because Dad was not ever going to walk into the church if the first hymn had started. Last one is titled, Don't Rotate Perishable Stock? Okay. I worked in a supermarket in the perishables department. Think milk, yogurt, cheese, etc., etc. Stuff with a short shelf life. Our department got merged with another, the nightfill department. The manager knew little to nothing about perishables and it showed. He put me in charge of getting perishables done as I had been there the longest. After a few weeks he decided we weren't going fast enough. I explained it was because we had to rotate stock. If we didn't, the older stock would be at the back of the shelf and no one would buy it, meaning it would need to be wasted. He didn't care. He told me to stop rotating. I confirmed with him that he wanted me to stop rotating the stock and he yelled yes. Malicious compliance. I told the team to stop rotating stock. In 2 weeks we had to waste thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stock. Of course he tried to throw me under the bus but also bizarrely admitted to telling me to stop rotating stock. He didn't see any connection between the two. I wish I could tell you he got fired. He didn't, but he had a meeting with the store manager that left him white as a sheet. For almost a month he barely spoke to anyone and didn't give me or my team any orders. Thanks for listening.